Everyone, today we are going to be creating a drippy drawing inspired by the art of Jen Stark. She is very famous for this style of art. She lives in Los Angeles, California, and is really into using these super bright colors. Her art is kind of like optical art a little bit, and she's really inspired by nature, like plants growing and fractals and topography. So she uses those things in her art making. And she has done these drippy style type of paintings, not just to hang on a wall, but also as sculptures and as murals. So there's buildings actually that have these drippy paintings painted on them, either on the inside or the outside as well. So when you get started, you're gonna want a pencil, your markers, and a blank sheet of paper. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of create the edges of the drips. So when we're working, we want to start across the top edge, and we're just gonna kind of wave down like something's dripping, and then kind of wave back up. So that's one drip. So then I can start somewhere in the middle of that drip, kind of make another one. And you can wave, short waves, or you can go really long and then short. They don't all want to be maybe exactly the same. Try and make a few a little bit different. So I'm going to start over here on the side of this paper. I'm going to wave down, make a really long drip, and maybe make a couple of little drips. You just have to think about it. It's like paint kind of dripping down the wall. I'm going to do one over here. So I'm going to do a really long skinny drip, and maybe some waves up there. And then I'm going to do one more here in the middle. It goes across. Okay, so once you've got that started, then your next step is actually using your markers. Now you'll notice in some of her drips, she does just black and white designs. In some of them, she sort of follows a rainbow order. In some of them, she does like a color pattern, like yellow, green, yellow, green. So you can kind of do different drips different ways. In this one, I've got some that are black and white, some that are a color pattern. I did one here that's in rainbow, and some that are just kind of random colors. So I always like to start with the black and white one first, and I think it's good practice. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use your marker and trace the edge of just one drip. And then you're gonna make a line, a symmetrical line, parallel line, sorry, not symmetrical, parallel line. And you're gonna try and just follow the direction of the first line that you made. So parallel means that those lines are always the same distance apart, and you're gonna try your best to do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you're gonna keep them pretty close together. I would say maybe a pencil thickness apart would be good. If you go too much farther apart, it loses the effect a little bit. So these are called parallel lines because they all are the same distance away as I draw them. Now, once you're done doing this first strip, then you have to come up with a different color pattern for the next strip. All right, we can get a little one right in there. Okay, so there's my first strip. So then for my second strip, maybe I do a two-color pattern. So I'm gonna do red, and let's see, I'm gonna do this dark purple I have. So now I think I'm going to use the dark purple first. So on the second drip here, the parallel lines need to match the edge of this drip. So I'm just going to be alternating. So now I'm going to do a red one. And then purple. So I think I might actually keep my caps off these two markers while I'm doing this so I don't have to keep reopening them. So you'll notice when I start, I always start along the edge of that drip. You want to be really careful not to start across it because this drip actually is behind the first one I did. So when you start, make sure you're not crossing over the first drip that you made. because then it will look like it's trying to be in front of it when it's supposed to be behind it. All right, so as you're doing this, it's up to you to decide, what kind of colors you want to use for each drip. You can make each drip a little bit different. You could make some of your drips the same if you want. So if you really like the black and white drips, you can do more than one of those, but you want to try and space them out a little bit. So if I were going to do another black and white drip, for example, I wouldn't do it directly underneath it, because then it would be hard to tell those two drips apart. So if I'm going to do another black and white drip, then I would think about either doing it here or here. So let's say I want to do it right here. So then that way they're not touching. So always try to make sure that if you're doing the same color pattern, the drips are not touching each other, because then it becomes really hard to see them and tell which one is which. That would be the one thing you want to be careful of. And then after you're done with all of your drips, you can hang your artwork somewhere fun in your house. All right, I will see you later.